Hello, statisticians. I'm going to show you how to do the question 35 from chapter 3. It was kind of confusing, and I'm starting to like this book less and less as I go. But there's chapter 35. Using the data in the Excel file, Census Education Data, construct a joint probability distribution. Okay, that's what we got to do first. We're going to construct a joint probability distribution. And our first probability is marital status, and our second one is educational status. Okay, so joint probability works like this. It's the probability that event A and event B will happen. Okay, so that's the same as P of A and P of B. They are logistically equivalent, and means multiply in probabilities. So what we're going to do is we're going to take each cell from the data sheet. We're going to calculate the probability of each educational status and each marital status, and we're going to multiply them together to get a joint probability for each possible cell. So let me switch over to the Census Data education sheet and try to show you what I'm talking about here. So hold on. So here's the Census Education Excel data sheet. I'm going to go ahead and trim it clean because we don't need all this data. But we do need their education status, and we need their married status. So everything else I'm going to just delete, right? We don't need age. And these total persons, I'm not going to use this data, okay? I don't want to confuse anybody, but they don't match up. So that means there was an error made somewhere. But again, that is part of statistics. There's always errors. So I'm going to delete some of this stuff. Just delete. So all I want is marital status and what kind of education they had. So sorry about that. Let me delete this stuff. Delete. So I got their education up here, got their married here, and let me get rid of these last ones here. So there's my data that I'm going to use. Okay, so joint data. So I'm going to make a separate cell down here underneath, okay? So here, let me highlight this as yellow. And I'm going to highlight the other stuff as a different color to keep it even. So plus I need squares. Sorry guys, I need my lines. I'm old. First thing I'm going to do is I need column totals and row totals. So let's push this out there. And I'm going to hit auto sum, and that's preset. Click OK. I'm going to drag it down. Those are all the row sums. I'm going to go down to the column sum. Same thing. Go to auto sum. Do it again. Click, auto sum. Does it automatically. Click and drag, right? So I line up my little cursor over the bottom right hand corner. You get that. Boom. And that is your grand sum here, but these are your column sums. Okay, so again, I'm going to put in my boxes. Keeps my eyeballs straight. Okay, so now I'm going to make a joint distribution matrix, right? Made out of this information. Okay, first thing I did was I cut and pasted the entire matrix here, but I deleted all the values. So this is where it gets kind of sciencey. Let me see if I can't get this all on the same screen at the same time. Okay, first cell. This is we're going to make a joint probability here. In other words, what's the probability that a person did not graduate from high school? And that would be 4,120,320 divided by the total. And he was never married. That would be 4,120,320 divided by 25,777. So again, I'm just going to type these in. Hopefully you can see these. I'll try to zoom them up. But this cell is going to be equal sign. It's going to be this. We need a parentheses. So it's going to be this divided by that, the total, parentheses, and then multiplied. That's the asterisk. Shift 8, that's the asterisk. And now we're going to multiply it by the other probability of never being married. So it's going to be times parentheses. This again divided by this total. close parentheses, enter. And let's add some variables there. Boom, boom, boom. I'm sorry, place values. So we're going to take it out to the fourth place value. Yeah, 4 place values. And I like to center it. So there's the first one. So what we can do here is I'm gonna go sideways. Okay, the trick is here. So let's look at the function. So it's B3, that's this cell, divided by B9. And this is when we move it to the right, that's automatically going to make this C3 divided by C9, but it's going to mess around with this guy here. So this is going to be C3, but we want to keep this as H3. We want everything going this way to be divided by H3. So what we do is we go up to the original formula, click just left of the H, type in a $sign, and then just after the H, $sign, and that freezes that bad boy up here. So that should work. We're going to click on this bottom right hand corner until we get the crosshairs, and ta-da, that worked. So if we add all these up, that is our marginal probability, but we're not really asked for marginals. So again, make sure you got up to 4 place values out there. It's just going to round it down to 0 every time. Okay, so that worked out pretty good. So now we got to go down on all of these. So hold on. So you got to kind of think about these. So if I want this one to go down, so now I'm going to figure out what the difference is between this cell and that cell. So this cell, I want it to be B4, right? I want it B4 divided by B9. So the B9 is not going to change on any of these. So what I'm going to do here is I want the B9 to change. Okay, so I'm going to undo the H lock, and I'm going to lock in B9 by putting a $sign before and after the B of the B9. $sign equals. Okay, so that should be the same. And when I drag it down, they should automatically do it. Yay me. So that's that one. So I wonder what happens if we drag them all the way across here. No, we're going to have to do it for each one. So for this one, going down, we had to lock the B9. This one we're going to have to lock the B10, etc., etc. So let's just go ahead and do this. Okay, so what I did was I'm going to go down. I like columns. So I clicked the first cell, upper left-hand corner. I rearranged it for a column copy by freezing B9. In other words, every time I slide this guy down, it's going to keep B9 as the divisor for each one of these as it goes, and that's going to give me the joint probabilities for each one of these different marital statuses for the not high school. So watch, I'm going to go real slow, but I did the same thing for this one, right? I froze the C9 because I want this guy to be dividing everybody. I did the same for this column, right? I froze the D9. I did it for this column. I froze E9, right? Because I want these to be the divisors every time I go down. So now I can do them all at once and highlight them. And those are our joint probabilities. Ta-da! So let's go ahead and answer those silly questions. And, all right, 35A, what's the probability that a person is divorced, and has a bachelor's degree? Let's jump over to our table, joint probability. So is divorced, that's this row, and has a bachelor's degree is that column. And there's your answer, 0.0101. Let me pull that up on the big screen here. So there's the probability. Okay, second one, what's the probability someone known to have an advanced degree and married with spouse? Advanced degree, married with spouse. That's this guy. Okay, let's bold it. Boom. There's the answer to that question. And last but not least, here comes the hard one. What's the probability of an individual who has known to have never married and at least an associate's degree? So never married and at least associate's degree. Never married, that's this guy. And at least associate's degree are these three. Okay? So it's an associate's degree or a bachelor's degree or an advanced degree. So when you hear yourself saying the word or, you're going to add up the probabilities. There's the probabilities. We're going to come up with the big chimichanga. So there's the probability of answer C. So that answers all the questions. And I don't know if I told you this, but I looked this up in the book, and this was the worst example I have ever seen. Again, that's why I'm not in love with this book. In fact, I couldn't make heads or tails of this example. It was on page 89. It did not mention anything about of how they calculated these joint probabilities here. There was no raw data to work from. They just set it up, and it was I'm sorry, crap. So, and again, my answers are different than the ones from the answer book, but I put money on mine. Mine are right. We did them properly. So I'm going to go ahead and send this answer sheet with you. I hope it helps. Math Guy Zero, that's me, your teacher. Math Guy Zero, out. MGZ, out.